The fate of abortion rights will soon be on the ballot in many states. NBC News senior legal correspondent Laura Jarrett has more on how the fall of Roe v. Wade has impacted women across the country.
A constitutional amendment in Missouri that would wipe out the state's near total ban on abortion, now set to appear on the ballot this November, while abortion rights organizers in the swing state of Arizona shattered records with more than 500,000 signatures to get their proposed amendment added.
This initiative has made the ballot.
Missouri and Arizona joining a growing list of states, all with similar ballot measures that would create a new right to abortion up to the point a fetus can survive at around 24 weeks, something opponents say goes too far. This ballot push, the byproduct of the Supreme Court overturning the right to an abortion, allowing each state to pass their own restrictions. Laws now under increasing scrutiny as new data emerges about what's been happening in hospitals. A new analysis of federal records by the AP showing more than 100 pregnant women in medical emergencies like ectopic pregnancies denied care in the ER since Roe was overturned. As doctors tell NBC News, they are navigating vague laws that don't account for medical nuances.
There's so much fear and confusion because an ectopic can have a heartbeat.
Kylie Thurman had an ectopic pregnancy where an embryo implants in a fallopian tube. She was initially denied an abortion in Texas, despite the law making an exception for such emergencies. Then it ruptured.
I want to have kids, and I wanted to keep my fallopian tube, but now it's gone. A piece of my womanhood was taken.
She, along with another patient in Texas, are now calling on the Biden administration to investigate.
I had to fight like hell to get my care, and I still didn't get it fast enough.
So a little bit more now on that Associated Press analysis that Laura mentioned in her report. According to the AP, 2 women, one in Florida and one in Texas, were left to miscarry in public restrooms. In Arkansas, a woman went into septic shock and her fetus died after an emergency room sent her home. At least 4 other women with ectopic pregnancies had trouble getting treatment, including one in California who needed a blood transfusion after she sat for 9 hours in an emergency waiting room. The Biden administration says hospitals must offer abortions when needed to save a woman's life, despite state bans enacted after the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade more than 2 years ago. Joining us now, the president and the CEO of the Center for Reproductive Rights, Nancy Northrup. Her organization's attorneys are representing 2 women in their complaints. Also with us, former U.S. attorney and MSNBC legal analyst Joyce Vance. Thank you both for being with us. Nancy, I guess it's an understatement that the cases that you're representing and that you're talking about were preventable but for these laws. Am I wrong?
Yeah, what happened to these women should frighten anybody who lives in a state where abortion is banned. The women in the complaint that we filed with the federal government almost died. They had ectopic pregnancies, a pregnancy growing in the fallopian tube. That cannot survive, and it is life-threatening to women. And yet, they were denied care when they went to the hospital. They had to be on death's door before they got abortion care, because it is just dangerous to live in any state where abortion is banned. You don't know if your pregnancy is going to be the one that has such a complication that it threatens your life.
Now, I've heard of these complications. They're not very unusual situations. Joyce Vance, how important are these lawsuits? And do you agree, but for these laws, these women wouldn't be in this situation?
Well, I think that's absolutely right. But for the end of Roe versus Wade, but for Dobbs, which permitted all of the states to adopt these bans, we wouldn't be in this position. And the work that Nancy's doing is incredibly important. These are complaints that are filed administratively to try to get to the bottom of what went on here and expose these facts. On a parallel track, the Biden administration is trying to get this law back in front of the Supreme Court. Last term, they had a case from Idaho, from the Ninth Circuit, and they ducked the issue. Now the Solicitor General has asked the Supreme Court to revisit this law and to assure doctors in states across the country that they can provide emergency care without facing some of the draconian penalties these state laws now provide for.
Nancy, looking at the big picture here and the work you do every day and have done for a long time, can you speak now that we're just over 2 years since the end of Roe by the Supreme Court? Donald Trump appoints the 3 justices and 50 years of law is overturned. Can you just speak generally to how reproductive rights have changed on the ground as a practical question, that it's not some abstract thing, but what it's like to be a woman in some of these states?
Absolutely. We have, 14 states that banned abortion and counting, more ban abortion earlier in pregnancy. And in those states, you cannot get abortion care. And they claim to have exceptions, for health, but we're seeing right here with these, even with ectopic pregnancies growing in the fallopian tube, you can't get care. So you either have to leave the state, but you can't if you're in the middle of a medical emergency, right? You're in the ER. You need care right then. And so it is, and doctors, in Texas, they're looking down 99 years in prison, right? And so they can't provide the care they need, looking over their shoulder at whether they're going to be prosecuted.
Right. Nancy, I'm curious that one of the women that we're looking at in these terrible cases is from California. California doesn't have the ban. Does it speak to the confusion that doctors and hospitals are facing when dealing with women with complications in their pregnancies when they come into the ERs?
Well, the California case, may be one where it was delayed care. She was in the ER. But what you see in states where abortion is banned is that they are really frightened to act. That is just the case. We have sued Texas on behalf of a lot of women who had a need for abortion, the standard care that in the past they would have been given when they're in a pregnancy complication. And again, you don't know if your pregnancy is going to result in a complication. Like, people didn't think about that when Roe versus Wade was overturned, that it makes every single pregnant person in a state potentially threatening to be able to lose their lives because of these abortion bans.
Joyce, I want to follow up with what Nancy just said about the prosecution part of this for the provider, for the doctor, for the clinic that now is suddenly in legal jeopardy. Just your analysis as a lawyer, like how sound is this reasoning? Is there anything in their appeals courts that could look at it? Give us your take of this overview.
So, of course, every state has its own law, different laws, but these laws are now constitutional following the Supreme Court's decision in Dobbs. And just like any other state law, if you have a willing attorney general, and many of the states that have banned abortion do, then that attorney general can begin to pursue these sorts of prosecutions when they decide the timing is right. And very often that timing has more to do with politics than what makes sense for women's lives.
All right. We'd love to track these cases and more as they come to you. President and CEO for the Center for Reproductive Rights, Nancy Northrup, please come back. Thank you so much for coming on this morning. And MSNBC legal analyst, as always, Joyce Vance. Thank you both very much. Joyce, of course, co-host of the famous Sisters in Law podcast.